special and she reckless. Baby, you're my bestest friend. Yeah, she my bestie. My love for you is endless. Nobody else can end it. And when I get the money back, then baby girl, you can spend it. And everything is alright. I like how you doing alright, alright. Like how you think alright. Always on top, oh yeah, oh yeah. Like how you do it alright. Everything good, alright, alright. Like how you think alright. Always on top, alright, oh yeah. I wanna know it tonight. I wanna be the one to surprise you. Wake you up in the morning. I wanna be the one that you calling. Cause I see you in the future with me. I wanna meet you. Love, best friend, and big family. I'm the storm in your dream, making wet dreams come true. She know she bad, better than bad. She a gunshot that blew my mind. No distance, I come by my side. Everything is green over here. Everything you want and think about. Now I got your back all the way. And everything is alright. I like how you doing alright, alright. Like how you think alright. Always on top, oh yeah, oh yeah. Like how you do it alright. Everything good, alright, alright. Like how you think alright. Always on top, alright, oh yeah. I wanna know it tonight. I wanna be the one to surprise you. Wake you up in the morning. I wanna be the one that you calling. Cause I see you in the future with me. I wanna meet you. Love, best friend, and big family. Me and you, we can be something we want to. When I see the dream we're chasing true, we don't care for me, yeah, yeah. Luckily we're free to be first class, riding casually, oh yeah. I wanna know it tonight. I wanna be the one to surprise you. Wake you up in the morning. I wanna be the one that you calling. Cause I see you in the future with me. I wanna meet you. Love, best friend, and big family. I wanna know it tonight. I wanna be the one to surprise you. Wake you up in the morning. I wanna be the one that you calling. Cause I see you in the future with me. I wanna meet you. Love, best friend, and big family. Anything that you do now, everything that you do, everything that you do now. Oh no 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 no. You special and she reckless. Baby, you're my bestest friend. Yeah, she my bestie. My love for you is endless. Nobody else can end it. And when I get the money back, then baby girl, you can spend it. And everything is alright. I like how you doing alright, alright. Like how you think alright. Always on top, oh yeah, oh yeah.
There we go. We are all good. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me a heads up on that. There we go. Now you can hear me. Now you can hear me. Now you can hear me. A little technical difficulty there, but we are good to go. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. If you can hear me all good, let me know. Let me know. Let me know, and then we can keep it moving, keep it tight, and keep it moving. Anyways, I think we figured that out there. Thank you so much. Like I was saying before, my name is Tristan Barracks. I am the digital storyteller. This is another Livestream Monday where we are all about sharing our knowledge with each other. I usually talk for a few minutes about some storytelling ideas and ways that you can level up your skills and just be better at digital storytelling. So if you are interested in staying a part of that session or being a part of this session, great. I'm glad to have you here. If you have questions, comments, or you want to just pick my brain about different things, normally people have to book time for me to do that, but I really want to invest in this community, invest in individuals like yourself. And I really do believe that a part of our responsibility as creatives is to give back to the community. So that being said, type in your comments in the comment section below, your questions, any sort of comments that you have or any sort of thoughts that you have in terms of the topic. Today's topic, we're going to actually be speaking about 5 ways to become a better storyteller today. 5 ways to improve your storytelling today. So that means, what are some of the key tips that I usually give people in order to level up their storytelling? Because really, when we're talking about storytelling, we're talking about an age-old, century-old skill that many of us already have, right? Whether we're telling a joke, whether we're interacting with other people, whether we're selling a product, whether we are describing something that happened to us when we were driving on the highway and there was a road rage incident that was happening to us. All of those opportunities or all of those elements are elements of storytelling, right? And I think that a lot of times we get in our heads, in our own heads, in terms of telling stories. What does storytelling really look like to us? What does it feel like to us? Is it a natural process? And so what I want to do is I want to really give you guys some just tools, some fundamental tools that will help you in the next meeting that you're in the next time you pick up your phone to create a piece of content, to go on a live, or if you're thinking of creating a piece of photography or a podcast, or you want to sell or market a particular product to somebody. Understanding these key principles will really level up and just allow you to be able to be a lot more comfortable in terms of telling stories and telling stories that are people centric. And that's something that's really important. I find that a lot of people want to tell stories, but they're telling stories from the vantage point of just making it sound cool. And cool will get people's attention and maybe get people's foot through the door, but it won't actually provide the necessary relationship and connectivity that you'll need to sustain the attention of the viewer. So one of the things I'm going to do is after each point, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to ask me questions about each point. If you don't agree with me, I want to hear that you don't agree with me. I want to hear you say, "Oh, hell no." Right? I want this to be a fluid conversation. I want this to be a conversation that really leads to enlightenment and maybe some new self-discovery. So let's jump into it. Let me jump into my screen here, my home screen here, and just let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if all is well. I'm just gonna take off this right here. There we go. And I'll switch over to here. So 5 ways to tell better stories today. 5 ways to tell better stories today. 5 ways. I could have said 7, could have said 4, but 5 just sounded really nice to me. So I stuck with 5. So I'm just moving around some windows here. Perfect. So the first way, and the first thing a way that I feel like you can tell better stories is by being authentic, right? Sharing stories from a place of truth and real experiences. I think many of us, including myself, because we're so caught up on trying to break the algorithm, right? Trying to get and captivate our audience. Oftentimes we don't want to use ourselves because maybe we're insecure about our own personal story. Maybe we are not great on camera. Maybe we just don't want people to know our business. Maybe we think our stories are boring. But many of the best stories, the stories that will connect with your audience, that will cut through the noise, are the ones that come from your own authentic experiences. I'll give you an example. A few weeks ago, I did a video about. I did a video essentially sharing about how I got played, right? And the way I got played was I saw an ad just before Christmas of 2020, and it was an ad for a Baby Yoda toy, and the Baby Yoda toy was pretty much doing everything except levitating. And I was like, okay, cool. This is really, really cool. I want to buy this. I just finished off my basement studio space, and I wanted some, movie paraphernalia. So the reason why I got played was because what they advertised and what I actually got were two totally different things. And at first I was just like, man, that really sucks. I got this really ugly, stupid toy. It was silly. And, I should have never fell for this. But you know what? How can I use this as a lesson or a story that I can use to share as a lesson to my audience? So what I did was I allowed my audience to like know or come along the journey of the story with me. And I retold the story, but I told it more colorfully. So I told it with a lot more jokes, a little bit more depictions. I reenacted a lot of the story. And then at the end, what I did was to tie all the loose ends together was I shared with them the principle of delivering what you say you're going to deliver as a creative, as a storyteller, as an entrepreneur, as a business person. It's really important that you don't just look the part, but you actually are the part. So if you say that you're a really good director, you need to be a really good director. If you say you're a really good editor, you should be an editor, a functional, knowledgeable editor. If you say that, you are a great salesperson or you are a great networker, then you should be able to network or sell stuff, right? And so I took that negative experience and that real, authentic negative experience, and then I changed it or flipped it on its head, so that it became something that was more applicable to my audience's life and needs. Now, does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. What are your thoughts on that, being authentic? Because I think a lot of times people think that authenticity means that you have to tell your whole story, like the good, bad, and the ugly. And that's not what I'm saying. I think you can take the authentic feelings and emotions and some of the experiences from your journey and distill it in a way that still allows you to represent yourself in the best light, but at the same time allows you to come down to earth. Because many times what people have trouble with is relating to their audience, right? Because we're taught by social media and society to kind of put out our best light and never showcase any sort of failings or any sort of struggles or anything like that. And I think that if you do it tastefully and you do it in a way that helps to inspire and enrich and engage your audience, then it can work really, really, really well. So the next way that you can level up your storytelling is identify your why, right? Why should the audience care about the story you are telling, right? And I think oftentimes we tell stories and we never think about the audience. We never think about, well, if I was an audience member, why would I want to listen to Tristan right now on a live stream? Why does it matter that you bought something, online, Tristan, through a Facebook ad? Like, who cares, right? So these are some of the things that we should share, right? Or we should understand, because as we understand not just our mindset and why we want to tell the story, but also why we want people to listen to our story and how people may be more receptive to listening to the stories that we're telling, then we can become better storytellers. So for instance, every video I make on Instagram or YouTube or Twitter, or every live stream I do, I look at the analytics and I break down the videos and I see what I did well and what I didn't do well. And I see how I could have done better. And I make notes and I try to improve as best as possible. Because one of the things that I'm often trying to do is I'm often trying to crack the code of what the audience wants to hear and how can I package my content in a way that enriches their lives, but also is done in a way that they actually can receive it and appreciate it and expound upon it, right? So that's the next thing. You want to identify the why. Like, why should we watch this, listen to this? Why should we have this conversation? Is it alive in you? Does it matter to you? You know, oftentimes I ask myself, am I just doing this because it's just another thing to do, or am I excited about it? Is this a topic that matters to me? Right? I try to create content that if I was a viewer or if I was just starting out, this is the type of content that I would want to see. I want to enjoy. I would want to elicit, right? Because the thing is, you know, you can't know what 1,000 or 10,000 or 15,000 people want to see. You can get a general estimate of it, but I think before you even get there, you gotta make sure that you know the why, in terms of why you're creating and why you're telling the story. And oftentimes that why will be the determining factor as to why others are connecting with your story and connecting with your content as well. Keep it simple, right? The best stories are the ones we can follow, right? I mean, unless you're Chris Nolan or David Fincher or something like that or whatever, um, keep your storyline simple, right? Boy meets girl, girl doesn't like boy, boy ends up being a nice guy and wins girl's heart. Simple story, right? Um, a man wants to win $1 million. He's always had bad luck for all of his life, and you know, is at rock bottom. He buys a ticket at his go lucky variety store, and now he wins that $1 million, and his life is better. Right? Whatever that story is, right? Whatever story you're trying to tell, try to keep it as simple as possible. Something that your audience can follow. Think about it from the vantage point of the lowest common denominator, right? The person that is, they don't follow stories at all. They don't get storytelling at all. How can you keep their attention, and how can you keep them engaged without them having to think too hard, right? Again, and obviously this will change depending on what content you're creating, and also what audience you're in front of. But I still think the principle, the essence of the principle is the same, where it's like, you can't be so in love with being so colorful with your words and with your storytelling that you lose more than half your audience, right? There still needs to be a level of togetherness, and a level of a linear level of storytelling, so that people can follow and enjoy, and then be able to actually tell it back to you as well. Be people centric. We are drawn to stories that reflect the human experience, and use that to your advantage. So what I'm saying here is, the human condition and the human experience is the one thing that connects us all together, right? When we utilize human emotions, human experiences, human failures and successes, that allows us an entry point into connecting with our audience. So when we're not people centric, or we don't have people, you know, in the center of our story or connected to our story, people have a hard time connecting with those stories. Not to say those stories aren't captivating and aren't cunning and aren't they're not valuable. But I think that if we are digital storytellers, oftentimes we don't, you know, we can get into a lull of telling stories but not thinking about how it connects to the human experience. And the human experience is the one thing that allows a viewer from Russia, from, you know, Uzbekistan, or from Jamaica, or from, you know, South America, to be able to all connect, right? We all connect to the torments of war, or we all connect to how COVID has hit the world, right? We've all connected to, or many of us can connect to being poverty stricken, or not having all the opportunities, or working hard to be successful, or trying to find the love of our life. Those are common universal themes that we see in a lot of movies, but we also, there's a reason why we see it in a lot of movies, or we see it in a lot of documentaries, or we see it in a lot of our TV shows, our favorite TV shows, because they're centered around, their themes centered around the human condition and the human experience. And we all are drawn to that, whether we like it or not, whether we acknowledge or not. We're all drawn to those things. So it behooves us, it makes the most sense for us to utilize that to our advantage, because those are universal themes that we can always be better at. And lastly, stay consistent. The more stories you tell, the better you will become at it. Now, when we're talking about the more stories that we tell, the better we'll become at it. Essentially, what I'm saying is that, like, you can't expect to be better at podcasting if you only do one podcast per month, or one podcast per year, or one podcast every 5 years. You have to get into a rhythm of working out that muscle, the storytelling muscle. You know, even for myself, one of the things I've done is that, like, if I haven't picked up my camera in, you know, a week, I'll pick up my camera and I'll film something. I'll create something. I'll do something creative, because I want to keep that muscle going on. Because the moment that you put your camera down, the moment that you stop doing studying, and you stop watching films, and you stop taking notes, and you stop, you know, feeding yourself with the content that you know will level you up and allow you to create the content and tell the stories that you want to tell, that's the moment that you lose that momentum, you lose that traction. So it's really, really important. Consistency is probably the number one thing that has allowed me to grow each year within the realm of storytelling. If I stopped doing it today, I would stop my growth, right? And it seems practical. It seems very like, duh, Tristan, of course you stop if you're not consistent. But I think even small things, even things like just writing assignments, like doing creative writing assignments, or, you know, leveling up by getting an educational membership and doing a course, different things like that, being consistent in making sure that you're consuming the right types of information to become better at storytelling is really important. Ultimately, you got to put, you know, your foot to the pavement, and you have to start creating stories. You got to tell stories. You got to get on live streams and do stories there, and tell stories on what is it called? Clubhouse, and on LinkedIn, and on Twitter, and all over the place, and figure out creative ways to be able to become better at storytelling. So that being said, that's basically what I want to kind of share and discuss a little bit more. I would love to know your thoughts on it. So let me know if you guys have any questions about what we just spoke about in terms of, you know, how to become a better storyteller. The other thing I want to show you, as I'm waiting for the questions, where I want to show you one of my favorite pieces that I did a while back, actually last summer. It's called Brown Ballerina, and I think that you might get something out of it in terms of just being able to see how we can use stories, human-centric stories, to pull at our heartstrings, and also to tell some convincing and convey some really special storylines. So check this out and let me know what your thoughts are. Give me a second here. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to full screen here.
First started ballet when I was 2.5, because I remember saying, like, I'm 2.5, I'm not 2. One of my first classes, like, very basic little ballet, and the teacher had us like point our toes to the front like we were performing on stage, and I had this image of like these sparkly red shoes on my feet, and they said perform with them, make them like emphasize them basically. And then since then I fell in love with performing, and red, it's my favorite color now. So I was into more like puzzles, math, sciences, so like a lot of things that are more complex. And for me, ballet is that, because for me, I see it as a science. Like it's so, you have to be so meticulous. Like your foot, if your foot is turned like in a 45-degree angle and your head isn't, you'll fall off. So for me, it was like kind of being able to push all my energy into one thing. So yeah, doing ballet just lets me fully just like let free, just live in the moment, which I love. And then I fell in love with it. So being a brown ballerina was really difficult growing up because you have a different body type, you look different, and it's completely different from the traditional body type. So you get looked at different when you go into auditions. Usually at the first glance, you're not taken seriously. But learning to deal with that, I think you get a really strong mentality, which is good for you and helps you grow. And you learn about knowing yourself and loving yourself from a very young age. Sometimes it gets really lonely in ballet because, well, it is like a soloist kind of art, I guess you could say. It's not always based in groups, so you do spend a lot of time alone and in your head especially. So for my mom, she was always there for me, even when at my lows. She would keep pushing me to do better, and she was always like the voice that just kept me going no matter what. It's not about you, it's about the people looking up to you. And because I feel like, for me, I never had that, so for me to be able to keep going, it makes a difference, and it helps inspire and keep the younger generation of ethnic dancers inspired and happy to do what they want to do. You are beautiful. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Your body is beautiful. Your curves are beautiful. Your skin shade is beautiful. You are beautiful. And don't let anyone strip you of that. My name is Jasmine Best, and I am a brown ballerina.
All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. So that was Brown Ballerina there. And basically, yeah. So that film was one that I made last summer, and I made it because my daughter's actually in dance, or was in dance before COVID hit, and she really really liked it, and I realized that she never really saw a lot of young girls that looked like her, and she's a very chocolate brown ballerina dancer, and I wanted to kind of create and tell a story around a brown ballerina, being a brown ballerina and what that meant. And the thing that was really really cool about her story is that, you know, her story is so unique in the sense of she's gone to the highest heights of basically the Canadian ballerina circuit, but she had to fight through a lot of things, a lot of like prejudice, a lot of the just some of the discrimination that's within that arena. So it was really tough for her to share those stories. And one of the things that I had to do was build that rapport and build that level of trust that I will tell her story with a level of respect, dignity, and reverence. And you know, every time I watch that film, I just realize the power of like having connectivity, you know, connecting with your audience, and being able to understand that like you don't have to be a ballerina, or you don't have to be in that specific discipline in order to appreciate a well-told, well-crafted story. If it has a level of heart and authenticity, and it has a level of you know, groundedness and just that human side of the storytelling aspect, then that will connect to the audience. So that being said, I would love to know. Let me know. Hit me up. I'd love to know if you have any questions about today's topic. If you'd like to share any of those questions, I'm all ears. If you want to share any of your questions about today's topic at all. And I'm just going to jump into the comment section here. Perfect. Carlos says, what a beautiful story. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. You know what? Her story is amazing. Her story is amazing. It's really amazing. And she's, like I said before, she's phenomenal. She's one of the top just ballerinas in Canada, not just brown ballerinas, but ballerinas in general. So definitely let me know if you have any questions. I would love to answer any questions that you have in the questions portion of this live stream. Again, you can ask any questions about the cameras, about storytelling, about, you know, YouTubing, anything to do with digital storytelling. I'm here as a resource, and I would love to answer any questions that you have. So let me know, let me know, let me know. I am here for you guys. By the way, what do you guys think about WandaVision and how it ended? By the way, that's a really great show in terms of storytelling and in terms of like how I think overall just that show showed you that there is so many stories to be told within, you know, the comic book universe. I don't want to distract from what we're talking about here, but I think even within the comic book genre and looking at storytelling, you know, it's not just like bad guy, good guy, beat him up. It's like there's layers that can be created as well, which is really, really interesting. So if there aren't any questions, then I will just I will say later for tonight. But if you do have any questions, I have no problem answering any questions for you. I would love to answer any questions that you may have, and we can go from there, and I'll answer them as quickly as possible. Oh, I think we got a question in here. What camera? I can't see who said it, but the person says, what camera am I using? So right now I'm using the Sony A7 III as my main camera. I also have an A7 III to the side of me, but I don't have that set up tonight. But essentially, I use the mirrorless A7 IIIs because they work really well. The autofocus is great. If I put my hand up here, it'll autofocus really, really quickly. It's very snappy, and I like it a lot. I like it a lot. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions? Give me some questions, guys. All right. Well, listen, I wanted to say I appreciate you guys a lot. I appreciate the time. I just want to share those thoughts in terms of storytelling. And from there, if you guys have any additional questions, we can always answer them for the next Livestream Monday, which happens every Monday evening. Today was a little bit early. Normally we start at 8:30, but I had to start at 8 o'clock because I have a few other things scheduled. But I would love to hear any comments or questions that you have. Hit me up, comment below, or you can hit me up using my email, which is info@tristanbarracks.com. And I'll answer those questions for you as well, and maybe another topic for next week. Until the next time, have a wonderful, amazing, very productive evening and week. And remember, stay creative. Just continue to tell the stories that you see that are real to you, that are authentic to you, that mean something to you. Tell those stories. Those are the stories that mean the most and that will get the most impact. All right. Peace.